Friends, comrades, countrymen, beloved lovers, both former and current. Crowder has come out with a new video. Bernie hates middle-class Americans. Here's why. Louder with Crowder. You know what I feel like doing? Normally when I do stuff like this, I like the slam dunks. And I like to make really mean comments. And I might still do those things. But what if this time I actually calmly addressed all of the things that Crowder has to say? I haven't watched the video. I don't know what his arguments are. It's entirely possible that he has some glut of data I'm unfamiliar with, but somehow I doubt it. Let's give it a shot. I do want to say, by the way, Bernie hates middle-class Americans. Well, technically, Crowder, you can't deductively reason how Bernie actually feels. You can only ever actually inductively reason. How irresponsible of you to put that in your title. All right, here, let's give it a shot.
Do not benefit most Americans, rich or poor. Bernie Sanders' war is with you.
Damn.
I want to know what your main problem is with Bernie Sanders. Like I talked about, I think with Bernie,
I think he could stand to be more aggressive against Joe Biden. I think he could have done so earlier in the campaign. Also, if he kept reminding people that Joe Biden is not an electable candidate, I think that might be good. That's my problem. I've shared it with you now.
This is going to be really, really dirty going into the primaries. This is the best case scenario for President Donald Trump. And I don't think that people are right when they assume that if Bernie drops out, his Bernie bros, the brown shirts, are going to be voting for Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. No, I don't think they're going to be voting for Joe Biden. And I think a higher percentage of them will vote for Trump than for Biden that people are accounting for.
I mean, I don't know what people are accounting for is. That's kind of a weasel statement because it's not empirically falsifiable or verifiable. I will say that in 2016, a smaller percentage of Bernie fans voted for Trump than Hillary fans did for McCain back in 2008. I like the brown shirts as well, you know. It's funny, you know, conservatives are always talking about how the left is screeching. They're hyperbolic, they're snowflakes, they're fragile, and to draw a comparison between the overactive Twitter supporters of a Jewish presidential candidate to brown shirts, the Nazi groups that would go around murdering and intimidating like the Jewish residents of Germany, along with homosexuals and other groups, is pretty fucking hilarious. You know, really speaks to a lack of perspective in the minds of these people.
Yeah. We saw a lot of that in 2016. We saw the Bernie bros come into this channel and all of a sudden they went, well, you know what? At least he's going to burn it all down. He's anti-establishment. They prefer Trump. And certainly on issues of trade, on issues of war, they would line up with Trump more than Bernie. But my big issue...
Wait, on Trump more than Bernie? Wait, Bernie bros would line up more with Trump than with Bernie? Was that a misspeak? Did he mean Biden? I think he meant Biden on that. Yeah, I think he meant Biden. I'm just going to assume that's what he meant because his statement doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Issue with Bernie is that he paints all of his political opposition, or he acts as though it's a monolith. We're the only people who could ever even fathom opposing his policies must be special interest billionaires.
Not really. I mean, he's talked many, many times about the need to coalition build and how there are many groups out there that are actively opposed to him, as well as many groups out there that are not actively opposed, but are nonetheless not well disposed towards him. I don't know what this... I mean, there's no denying that special interest groups and billionaires don't like him. There's a reason why he has no billionaire supporters, but...
And for context, this is what I'm talking about.
Our campaign
What's
is
up?
about
My man! Hit me up.
taking on the powerful special interests that dominate our economic and political life.
Today, we have a corrupt campaign finance system.
I like this. This is probably the one rally. I've seen this clip before. This is probably the one time Bernie has said we have a corrupt campaign finance system and gotten booed for it. In every other, all of his rallies, even at debates, he's said this, and he's gotten a round of applause. But we have to get this. I noticed, by the way, this is from 2016. Notice how we have Rubio down there in the bottom center? There are plenty of times when he's talked about this in 2020. Steven Crowder had to reach back 4 years to find a clip where they boo at him.
Wall Street and billionaires spending unlimited sums of money, which is undermining American democracy.
We need to take on all of the corporate elite. We need a government that works for working families, not just big campaign contributors.
The way you bring people together is to make it clear that we're not going to give tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations. They're going to start paying their fair share of taxes. We will not accept.
Was he in a hot air balloon? Whoa. It looks like they couldn't find a good vein, so they stuck the IV in his head.
It looks like one of those little things you blow in a field and the little white parts just disperse into the wind.
A dandelion? Does this motherfucker not know the word for a dandelion? Okay. One of those things when you go outside in the fields, when you leave the Crowder pundit dungeon, when Crowder lets us out, I dream sometimes of the windy fields, those flowers I've seen sometimes in the rom-coms and the anime, where they're white poofs and they disappear.
Wall Street,
Dandelion.
the insurance
Oh, he got it.
companies, the drug companies, the fossil fuel industry, the military industrial complex.
Are we really like filling up time this hard? We all know that Bernie Sanders is opposed to these things. Also, he's listed things more than billionaires and special interest groups. The military industrial complex isn't just a special interest group. It's far more than that.
Okay, lots of buzzwords.
Let's say that. Yeah.
Whoa, buzzwords. Those were all very specific terms. Buzzwords? Okay. I mean, I know exactly what he's referring to from the words that he's using there. Socialism would be a buzzword when used by Crowder. I know what it means when I use it in my discourse. I know what Bernie means when he's talking over there.
Here's the thing. I think we would all agree. If what he was saying, or at least I guess sort of the premise there, if it were true, sure, Bernie would be the champion of the people.
Damn.
Waging war against...
We did it, folks. We got another Bernie bro in our hands, so I'm not entirely sure if we want this one.
It's the corrupt, rich elite. Got it, if you buy that premise. But what if it's not true?
Wait, what's interesting to me is that before he showed up with all those clips, he talked about how Bernie Sanders pretends the only people who dare oppose him are billionaire-backed special interest groups. And then they show a bunch of clips of him describing describing opposition that isn't just billionaire-backed special interest groups. But that's interesting. It makes it sound like the thing he led into the clips with had nothing to do with the clips themselves.
What if there are plenty of people out there who oppose Bernie's policies and ideas, and they're not billionaires? What if it's just a significant portion?
Oh, again, like nobody is pretending that Bernie believes that nobody other than billionaire-backed special interest groups oppose him. This would be like saying that because Trump campaigned on draining the swamp, that Trump believes the only people who oppose him are deep state, state actors. And then I would make a video like, well, Trump believes that the only people who dare oppose him are deep state actors, but in reality, there are lots of Americans who don't like him too. Like it's nonsense. Crowder is providing a counterpoint to a point nobody believes in.
Potentially a plurality, or in some cases, a serious majority of Americans who are opposed to these policies proposed from Bernie Sanders. Well, then that changes things because Bernie's war is not with rich elitist billionaires. Bernie's war it's with you.
No, that's not how it works. Just because people disagree with the policies that Bernie wants to implement does not mean that the policies he's implementing are against them. How fucking nonsensical is that? Would that mean that if we went back in time to politicians who were advocating for the desegregation of schools, which many people were opposed to at the time, that little 1950s era Crowder would be talking about how those desegregation policies aren't for the blacks, they're opposed to the people? Or somebody championing like gay marriage across the states, just because people disagree with it back in 1992. Oh, they're not pro-gay, they're against the people. This is something that idiots do very, very, very often. I see it from everyone. I see it from Crowder, I see it from Sargon, I see it from Destiny. It's conflating what people want with what's good for them. Nazis do this a lot too. Hey, did you know a lot of Americans don't like Mexican immigration? That's why we should be able to discriminate against them. Well, hold on. Just because people feel a certain way doesn't actually mean that a given policy is good, bad, right, or wrong. All that refers to is whether or not it's popular. And Crowder himself would agree that there have been plenty of people throughout American history who were not popular at the time, who were nonetheless fighting for things that benefited the general American people. So this argument that Bernie Sanders is opposed to the working class because there are people in the working class who disagree with him is completely irrational. I'm sorry, Crowder. I know our next argument is going to be better than this one, though. So I look forward to seeing what you got next.
So let's first start with energy, fossil fuels, right? Yeah. The first example is this.
Is this going to be an example of Bernie's policy being unpopular or Bernie's policy actively hurting the working class?
This is of him trying to frame the argument in demonizing 100% of his political opposition as it relates to fossil fuels and energy.
What? This is him trying to... What was that?
Yeah. The first example is this is of him trying to frame the argument in demonizing...
Trying to frame the argument in demonizing...
100% of his political opposition...
100% of his political opposition...
as it relates to fossil fuels.
As it relates to fossil fuels. Demonizing 100% political... What? What is he... Is he trying to say that Bernie consolidates all of his opponents into the debate on fossil fuels?
And energy.
We got a retake on that.
I'm talking about Wall Street, the health insurance companies, the drug companies, the fossil fuel industry, the military-industrial complex, the private prison industry, and the large multinational corporations that exert such an enormous influence over our lives.
Wait, that wasn't even about the fossil fuel industry. He was just listing companies that have a huge influence on our lives, all of which do.
Okay. Did you see a lot of the same buzzwords?
Yeah.
You know
They aren't buzzwords. They're just, that's the words for the... So, just so you guys know, we can use the Google definition. A buzzword is a word or phrase, often an item of jargon that is fashionable at a particular time or in a particular context. So when Bernie Sanders says the fossil fuel industry, he is describing the fossil fuel industry, which is a real thing that actually exists. When he says the pharmaceutical industry, yeah, like that's just what the words means, you know? I guess if you don't have an argument, you can just pretend everything your opponent is saying is part of some rhetorical strategy that is completely empty and speaks no truth.
I love how he just always conveniently says the list of people who should consider him their enemy.
Right.
He's just very clearly like, I hate conservatives and Republicans.
He's never said that. Not once in his entire career has he said he hates conservatives and Republicans. But it is nice. It is nice for this person over here to just outright admit that the interests of massive transnational corporations and those that actively work to lobby against the interests of the working man are essentially Republican companies.
And Democrats and moderates.
He never said Democrats and moderates. He said the Democratic establishment.
And people with legs. And people who work. And people who don't work. And people who live in America. Like, all of you suck.
Yeah.
And
but
people,
vote for me.
And people who don't have to stick the morphine drip in their head. You don't know how good you have it!
The Crowder Comedy Factory over here is operating to full. They really had to dedicate. I know they have to fill up time for these. They had to get the other guy in, you know? How much do you think he got paid for that one? Bernie Sanders, he doesn't like anyone. He says he doesn't like people who wear red. And he says he doesn't like people over 6'2" and under 6'2". And he says he doesn't like beaches. And Bernie doesn't like butts. It's good, you know? The Laugh Factory over here is really producing, you know, in full swing.
He's just very clearly the opposition candidate to everyone.
Right.
We're bringing it back.
His wars with big fossil fuel industries,
Right, yeah.
big, and that's what these people are very easy to demonize. And I'm not going to defend all pharmaceutical companies. I'm not going to be defending all fossil fuel industries. Okay, I'm not defending the BP oil spill. But in reality, here, when he's painting it with this broad stroke, his war is against you, middle-class Americans.
Really? Because he just specifically said the things that he didn't like, and none of them were middle-class Americans. It was massive institutional forces. For which strong empirical arguments can be made. They are hurting the average American. So, I mean, so far, like, Crowder's trying to convince me that Bernie Sanders is like waging a war against the average person. And so far what he's come up with is, well, also some working class people disagree with him. That's his, we're 4.5 minutes in, and that's the gut buster he's hit us with so far, you know? I think Bernie Sanders fucking hates middle class people. Really? Why do you believe that? Well, some middle-class people don't like him. Ah, shit! Oh, I'm on the ropes. Crowder, don't come up with another one. Don't come up with another argument.
Who overwhelmingly like to drive your own cars as opposed to public transit and often choose SUVs. And poll after poll after poll has shown that affordable gas is a very important issue.
Wait, what is this? What? What does this have to do? He's not even speaking about a Bernie policy. Is Bernie pledged to take all cars off the road?
To most Americans. By the way,
absolutely.
It's even more important to non-wealthy Americans. Bernie doesn't think about how much it costs to gas up his Prius.
No.
What is he? What the fuck is he talking about? God, you guys know that this show, Louder with Crowder, is funded by billionaires, right? There's dark money that gets pumped into the production of this show. And like, he can't even structure an argument. Like, here's what he could have done. He could have said, well, Bernie Sanders argues that we should implement more public transit, which most people don't want to use. Now, I would have like a list of counter arguments against that, of course. But instead, he just jumped to people like driving and people like having low oil prices. Like, all right.
It's an everyday cost. It's an everyday cost for everyday people.
Right.
That they see the tangible changes with
Right.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like, he comes out and he makes the economy better. And it.
What has Donald Trump done to make the economy better? There are a lot of people out there who will say this to you, by the way. There are a lot of people who say, like, oh, the economy is great under Donald Trump. What has he done exactly? Because the tariff trade war ended up being a fucking disaster. And Trump is currently subsidizing some of the industries that were hurt by it. So that's, you know, your socialism right there. Quote unquote socialism, you know? And the tax cuts are just deficit spending. So what has Trump done exactly?
Drives the prices down.
And by the way, when I say Bernie's Prius, I mean an old shopping cart with a lawnmower engine. Just
okay.
It's almost as good as my mini bike.
Yeah. One thing I
Wouldn't a shopping cart with a lawnmower engine be more efficient because it's smaller, right? I don't even know. I can't even comment on like the attempts at humor. It feels like a Guilford Gottfried impression. Is that what he thinks like Jewish people sound like? I don't know. I mean, Steven Crowder isn't exactly above doing like impressions. He's done like the "oh si senor," like the Speedy Gonzalez type shit before. You know, he's done like the Chinese impression. I'm pretty sure at 17 unique occasions Steven Crowder has put like a prop bone through his nose and like chanted a boonga boonga while like doing this on top of his desk while referring to Obama. You know, I don't know. Like, is it a Jew thing? I don't know where he's coming from with this.
I always find interesting about Bernie when he talks about a specific industry is he's forgetting that, sure, there are people who are making millions or billions of dollars and the companies may be making billions of dollars, sure, but they're also spending billions of dollars on innovation, on fuel efficiency, on hiring engineers, all the way down to the...
Damn. That's if only Bernie Sanders had considered the fact that when he talks poorly of big businesses, they do business. If only Bernie Sanders knew that inside of pharmaceutical companies, there's not just a giant fucking crucible where they dump like buckets full of money into, that there's actually a business taking place inside of there, he might reconsider entirely. Thank you for your incredibly pointed, rebuttal.
The people who are cleaning the offices that they're
payroll.
in. And the thing he never thinks about is, I'm going to destroy this industry. Okay, every voter that works in those companies, every voter that works in a company that's affiliated with one of those companies, know he's coming for you. Not just the CEO, not...
I don't know. It really depends on the company. There are plenty of industries that Bernie Sanders has said are opposed to him, which he doesn't have any plans to reduce the size of. Some industries, like the insurance industry, he wants to get rid of entirely, of course, but the number of jobs we would lose due to the destruction of the insurance industry would be more than compensated for by the number of jobs we would gain under Medicare for All. A lot of these would be bureaucratic jobs that could be filled by people who worked in the former insurance industries. There would be far more jobs. It would be actually, quite a job creation program right there. So if we're talking about the total number of jobs lost versus gained, I'm pretty sure all the numbers that have come out have shown that we would be gaining work. Good work too, not like shit fucking $8.75 an hour, starvation wages, but proper administrative work.
Not just the CFO, he's coming for you. When they can't afford to do their work anymore because there's a higher price, you will pay the price.
Let's move on to something that affects a lot.
I'd love to see some stats on that, if they had any data on Bernie Sanders' proposals losing such and such many jobs, or if this is just like a general fear-mongering scheme they're putting out without actually being able to support it with evidence.
Of Americans, one of the biggest issues, healthcare, drug companies, right? This is kind of all...
Again, reminder, 6 minutes in, not a single argument actually about how Bernie Sanders is opposed to the working people. I'm disappointed. I was hoping for something truly revelatory here.
Lumped in together. Bernie, I don't think we have a clip for this one, but you can just take my word for it that Bernie Sanders hates insurance companies and drug companies, lest you think I'm lying. There's gonna be...
You don't want to fill up more time here? You want to show like a 2-minute montage of him saying he doesn't like insurance companies? Okay.
Be someone like, well, where's the reference? Ever.
Everything he's ever said.
It's everywhere.
Wait, it's funny that he's making this joke about oh, I'm sorry, guys, I don't have any data on it. Pretty sure Bernie doesn't like insurance companies. When 15 seconds ago, he provided no evidence for a claim he made about jobs being lost under Bernie's anti-oligarch policies. So you don't get to make that joke when you have a habit of undersupplying data when it's actually needed, Crowder.
Find a video of Bernie Sanders speaking, hit play. Wait 30 seconds. Try and look through the IV hooked up to his head for some reason. What was that?
Why does he keep... What is he referring to? IV hooked up through his head? This is the second time he's made a joke about this.
Masculinely challenged.
And it also, I thought it had Super Mario characters on it.
Yeah, Luigi.
Did he go to the children's ward? Gosh.
Okay, I don't know why he's taking shots at gamer Americans over here. I have no idea what he's referring to.
So he frames this, right, when we're talking about insurance companies and we're talking about pharmaceutical companies. Lot of regulation, a lot of corruption with some of these companies, absolutely. But he frames it as though the only reason that we have private insurance in the United States is because of the wealthy elites pulling the strings.
Yes. Oh, it was just a Band-Aid he had on? Oh, okay, I see. Nice.
Right, the presumption is that the only reason one could oppose his mandatory Medicare for All program is if they're wealthy elite. But in reality, his war is with you.
Notice how, again, he just completely jumped arguments here. So listen.
Elites pulling the strings. Right?
So first he says, Bernie would have you believe the only reason private insurance exists is because elites are pulling the strings, which is absolutely true. The entire insurance industry is a scam. It's a massive glut of bureaucracy that drains billions, trillions of dollars from the economy, does nothing but make middlemen rich who provide no labor other than verifying the work done by actual doctors. The insurance industry is a money-making scheme that the government has allowed to fester for so long it's become a special interest group, almost impossible to disempower. One little smidge problem with markets there. So the initial argument here is about how Bernie Sanders believes this to be the case. And then we switch arguments here.
Right, the presumption is that the only reason one could oppose his mandatory Medicare for All program...
Nope. That's a different argument, Crowder. At no point has Sanders said the only reason you could oppose his Medicare for All program is
if they're wealthy elite. But
is if you're wealthy elites. At no point has he said that. I don't know where you're getting that from, my friend. I don't know where, what video, if you have a clip of that, perhaps. Because again, we're switching out the arguments. At first, it sounds like Crowder is going to make an empirical argument, but then he hits you. He hits you with the roundabout. You know what the roundabout is? Oh yeah, Sanders? Well, some people who are working class don't like your plans. That's it. That's the 1-2, you know? It seems for a second he's going to make an actual argument about the efficacy of these programs or about how private insurance is actually a good thing, which it's not, but he could make the argument. And then, Sanders, did you know some people don't like your programs? Like, damn, man, nailing it.
In reality, his war is with you, America.
No, just because some working people don't like his policies doesn't mean his war against private insurance is a war against you. All available empirical data shows pretty plainly that private insurance is a detriment to our economy and to the livelihood of the average Americans. Opposing private insurance is a pro-American position, whether or not Americans like it or don't like it. Whether or not people like or don't like something is not an argument as to whether or not that thing is good.
Americans, where over 83% of you are currently satisfied with your health insurance plan.
This is not an argument. What is this? People are currently satisfied. The only reason why people are currently satisfied with their programs is because they are terrified of losing them. The way it works in our country is that insurance is by and large for most people tied to your job. If you work a job, you get insurance through that job, which means that there's a constant anvil hanging over your head in case anything happens to your job. The reason people are generally satisfied with their health care is because they know that they have fought to get the health care they presently have, and any change to their situation is going to like, for example, if they get fired, or if they get sick for a long time, or if they get downsized, that's their health insurance gone. And even with all of that not being the case, and you can make arguments about people getting accustomed to how horrible our system is, so they get satisfied with things when they don't even realize there are better things off in the distance. This isn't an argument against Medicare for all. Whether or not people rate their healthcare quite positively has nothing to do with these strong empirical arguments for Medicare for all providing jobs and providing far better medical care and costing the average American less. So again, this is a people disagree with your opinion style argument.
Plan. And by the way, his war is with 87% of Americans out there, you who are...
I don't know how many times I'm going to have to keep repeating this, but the fact that there are people out there, like imagine, I guarantee you that a large number of the people who are satisfied with their current healthcare would vote for Bernie Sanders anyway. The idea that there's a completely incompatible, like a mutual exclusivity between being a Bernie supporter and liking your current health insurance plan is unsubstantiated. And again, B, the fact that people like their current health insurance plan has nothing to do with the effectiveness of Medicare for all. And C, even if it did, which it doesn't, the fact that people dislike a Bernie Sanders policy doesn't mean the policy is anti-them.
Against a universal health care plan if it eliminates private insurance, which is exactly what Bernie Sanders' plan would do. Don't allow TYT, don't allow...
I mean, by the way, we can apply this logic. Right now, Trump's approval versus disapproval rating is in the negatives for him. His disapproval rating is higher than his approval rating, meaning that a majority of those who voted dislike Donald Trump, meaning that Donald Trump is actually anti-American. Donald Trump is anti-American and anti-working class because people disagreed with him? Damn. See, that's the problem. The Crowder that logic is the logic that Crowder is applying here could be used to argue that almost any politician or policy is anti the people it would benefit. Not that Trump benefits Americans, mind you, but I bet he wouldn't accept that logic if it was being framed in that way. Yeah, he lost the popular vote too, you're right. Damn.
Allow Seth Meyers, don't allow Trevor Noah or the TYT network funded by foreign caliphate to tell you, well, Medicare for all, socialized healthcare is immensely popular, right? This is not fringe, this is mainstream. 87% of Americans.
What's the popularity of Medicare for all? 70% of Americans support Medicare for All proposal. Damn, Crowder. It looks like A, the existence of this number disproves your thesis that there is a directly antagonistic relationship between people who like their insurance and people who support Medicare for All. And B, judging from what I'm looking at right here, it seems like this YouTube video is pretty anti-American, Crowder, because it looks like most Americans support a Medicare for All proposal. Damn! Crowder! What's up, my man? I thought you were pro-American. What's going on over here? Yeah, it's almost like Crowder's completely full of shit and his arguments don't mean anything, and he's paid by the exact same dark money oligarchs that Bernie Sanders rambles about in every single one of his speeches to deliver propaganda to convince his stupid viewers to oppose policies that would actually benefit them. Damn, Crowder, what's up? Very anti-American, this video.
So let's say it were lower.
Yeah.
Let's say it was only 80%, okay? You can't find a number that says 80. They're all 87. Some say 88. 87% of Americans, when you say, okay, but what if Medicare for All required that we completely eliminate private insurance? They say, no, no way, no how. So,
oh, wait. Does that data point where it says 87% of Americans or whatever are satisfied with their insurance also say that every single one of those Americans rejected any Medicare for All proposal or even any public option proposals? Is that true? Could you show me that article again? Because I feel like you just implied that the article provides a data point that doesn't actually exist.
So if you ask people abstractly, do you like free shit? Well, yeah, that sounds good. But what if we take away the shit you currently have? No. No.
Well, what if the shit that's free is better than the shit you're paying for? The point he just made has nothing to do, again, nothing about the satisfaction with your current health insurance plan data point has anything to do with your level of support for Medicare reform point. These are, like, he doesn't have the data he's implying he has.
Oh, I like my current healthcare plan. Don't buy, it wouldn't make it right, by the way, to eliminate private insurance. It's still morally reprehensible, but...
Morally reprehensible? Damn, getting all moralistic over here, Crowder. If only you could supply an argument to that effect, rather than using the same old "but people don't want it" trick, along with the classic 1-2 punch of also saying that you have data points that don't actually exist.
For Mr. Paul himself, it's not even popular. And something else to take into account, Bernie's...
I mean, 70% popular?
War obviously is with you, the middle-class Americans, but it's
Why?
also, he also has a war with innovation, and he has a war, for a man who fancies himself a man of the world, listen, take this into account. The United States leads the world in drug development. And I think, you know, you probably know about this more. We've talked about this. It's not even close. Now, the reason our drugs cost more is that other countries freeload off of our drug development and then impose price controls in their countries that drive American drug costs up. It's often...
No. Not even close. The actual reason, guys, are you ready for some materialist analysis? The actual reason why our drugs cost so much, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? It's really good, okay? Is because they charge that much, knowing that there's nothing anyone can do about it. That's it. That's the actual reason why. Pretty crazy, huh? Because the government can't negotiate the cost of these drugs, and private insurance has no reason to do anything other than accept those prices, because it can just pay whatever price it feels reasonable, and it gets a fuckload of money off of premiums anyway, our pharmaceutical industry can essentially just invent prices. There's no actual competition because pharmaceutical companies will usually either focus on the development of completely different drugs that don't have any overlapping effects, meaning that they have a complete monopoly over the effect of their drug for a long period of time, and there's no incentivization whatsoever to improve the price of their drug. Or alternatively, there's a kind of just a general institutional expectation that if you spend $1 billion or $2 developing some new pharmaceutical drug, that you should be able to rake in like 100 times that in profits over the next such and such period of time. This isn't even to speak of the impact of the opioid epidemic, the fact that pharmaceutical companies have openly lied and suppressed information to push drugs they know are addictive and to to pressure doctors into supplying people drugs when it's not actually medically necessary, to literally sponsor their drugs by paying off doctors to prescribe them when they aren't medically necessary. There are so many things that the pharmaceutical industry does to earn our ire. All of the productivity and all of the innovation they currently engage in could continue to exist even if it were not for that unethical behavior. This is one of the things that cucks will do. That's not how you pronounce opioid? Yeah, well, when you speak quickly sometimes it happens. This is one of the ways that the conservative establishment tries to turn you into a cuck. They're doing it to you right now. As you watch this Crowder video, they are in the back room secretly convincing your wife to allow a virile bull to implant their seed in her and to cuck you. That is what they want to do. What they want to do is convince you that all of the fucked up things the pharmaceutical industry does, all of the horrible shit it does that can be empirically determined to be unnecessary and destructive to the American public, is actually necessary. They're holding us hostage, you see. And the thing that we need from them so badly, that we are willing to suffer all of these indignities and cuckery from them, is innovation. Something which existed before them will continue to exist after them, and nobody can demonstrate exists only because we allow them to fuck our wives. But Crowder loves it because he gets to be the bull. He's paid by those same billionaires, So when he convinces the average low information dipshit conservatard fucking voter in the comments section that actually it's totally okay for the entire country to get raped by greedy CEOs and stockholders who are trying to make billions off of selling you medication at inflated prices. He gets off on that. He gets to bust his nut. 100% of U.S. developed drugs the FDA has approved in the past 10 years were made in university with public money, then sold for nothing to drug companies. Damn! I completely even forgot about the fact that basically all of the actual innovation that takes place is done through public funding in universities. You're completely right, my friend. I was so busy with my cucking analogy that I forgot the fact that, guys, holy shit, the free market doesn't actually improve innovation, at all in this respect. It's literally all public funding. It turns out if you take a bunch of incredibly intelligent people, give them some grants, and put them in a room for a few years, they're going to do really productive stuff, whether or not their bosses are making billions of dollars from it. That's wild how that works, How human innovation can exist outside of an incredibly abusive economic environment. So he has no argument on any level here, but we had to take a second to, import that information.
And socialist price controls in other countries that drive up American drug prices, not only the controls in other...
Interesting. None of the data that's being provided here suggests anything along those lines. He's saying that our prices are necessarily driven up because other countries use our drugs. Nothing here says that our prices necessarily have to be driven up because of that interaction. Of course America funds a bunch of drug research, but here's the quick question. America funds much of the world's drug research. How much of that is private pharmaceutical companies, and how much of that is public funding?
Other countries that drive up American drug prices, not only the drug companies.
If you were going to go buy medicine or drugs or a treatment or a remedy from somewhere, are you going to buy it from Venezuela or Cuba or Russia or Iran or Iraq, any of those places, Afghanistan? Or are you going to buy it from somewhere that has a strong capitalist society that allows for innovation?
There are literally entire industries right now built around people traveling to Mexico or Canada to get the same drugs that are available here in America, except at 1/10 the price. Because America just makes them cost a fuck ton more. There's nothing about providing those drugs to other countries that forces our country's pharmaceutical companies to charge the prices they do. It's always the cuckery with these folks, Oh, well, actually, you have to pay fucking $300 for insulin. There's no other way, even though every other country has more reasonable prices and actually cares about their citizens.
And the conglomeration of wealth in one place so that you can spend 10 years and multi-billion dollars on a single drug that may...
Yo?
Can I say something?
What?
I just been, you talking about this just makes me...
Louder.
If there's a good example of stuff like this happening and drugs being unnecessarily expensive, it should be the whole debacle with, what the fuck was it? Martin Shkreli for buying the, like, what was it, AIDS? He just bought it because he could and made it expensive, you know?
Yeah, his argument was that the price increases should have only hit insurance agencies, but still, the fact that a single person can monopolize...
That's what I mean. Like, doesn't that show that like it's so fucked? Like anyone can just be like, oh, okay, I wanna take advantage of people who need medicine.
It's cringe.
Like I don't know. Yeah.
And that aside, brought to you by.
Not even work.
I would take it even further than that, because you do have some Americans who buy drugs in Mexico or who buy drugs
that were made in the USA.
Exactly. Yeah. They're subsidized by these other governments because they don't spend the R&D costs.
Yeah, the fact that, again, what he would have to prove here is that it was medically or like financially necessary for pharmaceutical companies to charge that much more in this country. You know, there are pharmaceutical industries outside of America that still have to deal with the price controls in their respective countries and still manage to not go bankrupt?
No. They don't innovate, and so what happens is then it's footed by the taxpayer at a 52, 56, 70% tax rate, depending on where you're going.
Right.
So
well, a ton of pharmaceutical innovations in this country are also funded by public spending, so that's the case no matter what. Private companies just aren't that good at developing things human beings need sometimes, it seems.
That's something else that's important. If you get it in another country cheaper, that's because we're footing the bill, just like Canada. Hey, defend your own borders, go.
That's not what footing the bill means. Footing the bill would be if you went to Canada to pay $10 for a pill and America paid the other $490. When in reality what happens is it takes a pharmaceutical company a fraction of a cent to manufacture pills no matter where they're being sold. And in other countries they get sold at a livable price. And over here they get sold at $500 because they can get away with it.
It'd be entertaining for about, I don't know, a half hour, and then you'd be waving the American flag and using our currency so fast it would make your silly little Mountie head spin. By the way,
what the fuck is he talking about? Our currency?
Hit the notification bell and hit all notifications, turn them on.
What an excellent reminder, folks. I love you all so much. If you're enjoying this video, I suffer for you because I do genuinely hate Crowder. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Ring the little fucking bell. Ring a ding ding. That YouTube bell. We're not on YouTube right now. We probably will be when I make this a YouTube video. Right now we're on D Live. But you know what? If you're here on D Live, hit that subscribe button on D Live. Click that button. You know what? Don't let Crowder be the only one who gets to shill. I will shill shamelessly. Follow me on Twitter. VoshV Twitter. All right? I tweet very good. Big tweets. You know? I do the drawings. I do the tweetings. Fucking Patreon. I actually don't go to my Patreon. I've posted like 3 videos there. Okay, let's be real. But my subreddit, VoshV, the subreddit, just hit 5,000 members recently. Just a hotbed of highly intellectual discourse. You love to see it, folks. All right.
On your phone, please. If you type in the name of that, please do consider joining Mug Club. You get Glenn Beck. You get anyway. Please do consider.
I've got a mouth to feed coming, okay?
By the way, this is so fun. I also should have mentioned, next week, we are going to do our 1 billion view live stream.
Nice.
And I should be clear, it's more ceremonial. We crossed 1 billion views a while ago, but then we had to remove the videos because of the fig shirt, you know?
Yeah.
So we're going to recross it. We'll also be doing a live stream when we cross the Young Turks and subscribership, which should be happening here in the next quarter.
Nice.
So yeah, that'll be, and I just saw after election time, the Young Turks, I will say this, and I don't want to punch down, but technically they still have more subscribers than us, so we can, you know, we have a couple more months.
Yeah. Listen, one of these days, we're going to catch up, okay? Listen, right now, 60,500 subscribers. We're almost there, okay? How many does Crowder have? Like 4 million? Yeah, 4.38 million, okay? We're almost there. We're on our way, okay? We're making our way up. We have 20 million views. That's almost like 1 billion. Well, more like 16 million. But we're getting to 20 million.
It's just an easy target, right? Speaking of no necks.
It's a big target.
But huge schnozzes. What a sniffer. So.
Wait.
It's just an easy target, right? Speaking of no necks.
It's a big target.
But huge schnozzes. What a sniffer. So. And it's like Greta Van Susteren. We're seeing the new and improved Greta. We're seeing the new and improved Young Turks.
I didn't know if that was a Jew joke. I just wanted to. I still don't know what he's talking about. But if it was a Jew joke, it was so unfunny and poorly constructive that it's not even offensive. Yeah, let's just
watching them with Super Tuesday, going, guys, please do join up. Whatever their pack is, and by the way, we wouldn't ask if we didn't need it. Okay, all these other multi-billion-dollar companies, like, well, hold on a second. What happened to the $20-30 million that you got in investments from Al Jazeera and Google and Buddy Roemer?
Spent? What? What are we talking about? Aren't we talking about Bernie Sanders?
We've never received any of that. So how do you need money now? We just need you guys to join up at Mug Club. We're not funded.
Are we still doing the fucking advertisement? Again, Steven Crowder's show is literally funded by dark money. All these jokes about like how he doesn't need that money, he just needs the Mug Club. Most of the money that gets spent like through his program is spent like the donations from other people. You know? Yeah, co-funding. I mean, that's how PragerU does their stuff as well.
The other multi-billionaires.
It's because their employees haven't yet unionized.
Right.
This is true.
Why are we talking about Bernie?
Large, not just talking about Bernie. Democrats will lose. Joe Biden said that Beto O'Rourke was going to be his gun czar. Oh, wrap it up.
Yeah.
He's done.
Is this just B-roll footage?
Election is over. Guns along with my wife.
Can he step on it?
Piece of opposition to his ideas, his proposals, his gun policies, as though it must come from some sinister or exclusively sinister overlord organization.
We've already done this. No, nobody has ever said the only people who dislike Bernie Sanders are oligarchical institutions. Just that those are the things that he is opposed to.
The Congress must do what the American people want, not what the NRA wants.
Okay, but if we're talking about what the NRA wants versus what Bernie wants, which really isn't all that clear because he comes from the most pro-gun state in the union and he didn't really do a whole lot to change it, still most Americans would side with the NRA because his war, again, is with you, America. 43% of your households include guns.
Again, completely irrelevant data point. Being opposed to the NRA is not Bernie Sanders saying that he wants to take a gun from every single American adult's house. Notice how confident he is, providing data points that have nothing to do with his argument. So he's transitioned from Bernie Sanders says he doesn't like the NRA to Bernie Sanders is actually anti-American because 30%, not even a majority, 30% of Americans say they own a gun. So even the point that Crowder is trying to make would only work if he could prove this was a majority. But he can't. And even if he could, it would still be a stupid point. Because Bernie Sanders doesn't advocate for taking guns away from the homes of every single American. Hey, listen, I'm super pro-gun. I'm very, very, very pro-gun. And I fucking hate the NRA. The NRA is a rabidly conservative, hypocritical, conservative establishment that doesn't give a shit about gun safety, responsible messaging when it comes to guns. They're essentially, and I stand by this, essentially a terror group. Because the NRA is directly responsible for encouraging the attitudes towards guns and the propagation of gun culture that leads to mass shootings, that leads to a high preponderance of gun crimes in this country. The NRA is an incredibly fucking bigoted organization. Fuck the NRA. But I love guns. I love guns. And I bet a lot of gun-owning Americans hate the NRA as well.
43% of American households own guns, and gun ownership rates are highest, by the way, for those in the middle income class tax bracket. I think it's what, 40,000? Do we have an overlay? $40,000 to $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. They're the people who own the most guns. Now, a big reason, I don't know, this is just a theory, a big reason that they tend to be the highest percentage of gun owners is because they can't afford the armored car and security detail that Bernie Sanders has out there in Montpelier.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it. We got the socialists are hypocrites if they live in a society.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah. Was a
Oh, I thought we were going to jump to a clip. I like how they all were like, oh, like that was a gotcha. Again, Bernie Sanders hasn't advocated for taking anyone's guns away. Also, he's running for president. No shit, he has a security detail. If you, a private citizen, want to have a security detail, fucking go for it, I guess. if you really think it's necessary. Yeah, this is some you live in a society shit. Dude, this is the weakest attempt at hypocrisy here. Bernie Sanders says he doesn't like the NRA. Huh. Guess his private security detail while he runs for president didn't get the message. Oh, and look at that. Thank you, Somniostatic. More Americans currently view the NRA unfavorably than they do favorably. Damn, I guess this video is once again anti-American because by opposing Bernie's anti-NRA talking points, Crowder is actually expressing sentiment which would be disagreed with by a larger majority of people who have opinions on the NRA. Why do you hate America so much, Crowder? What's up?
Street, now it's solved.
Well, this is what people say. Just call the cops. People say that, right? Just call the cops.
Yeah. Right.
Well, a lot of Americans, middle-class Americans, if you look at that, they would live in the suburbs or they would live in rural areas where police response
Has Bernie said just call the cops? What are we talking about right now?
time might be slower. So Mr. Walther takes care of them. Maybe for some folks who buy a lesser firearm, Mr. Smith & Wesson.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, it has been shown, just data-wise, that your house is not made any safer for having a gun in it. If you own guns, like if you do hunting shit or you just like firing at the range, fine, great. If you're preparing for a proletarian revolution, fantastic. But if you want a gun in your house because you think it'll make you safer against like a home intrusion, the data just doesn't bear out in favor of that point. It tends to make your house less safe for a wide variety of complicated reasons. But again, irrelevant. I support gun ownership. And so, by the way, does Bernie Sanders.
You know,
Hopefully,
and never forget that the origination of a lot of gun restrictions were completely based on racism. They were saying we're going to limit certain people in certain areas to be able to have them, and predominantly affected minorities. And yet you see a huge movement of folks who are saying, "Look,
damn, are we going to get because Republicans have imposed gun control for racist reasons in the past? Now, when a Democrat opposes the NRA, it's also racism talking point? I'm ready for it."
If we can get rid of these restrictions and let people, regardless of their skin color, own firearms, then we're going to be a better place. Yet Bernie unironically tries to say that he is the candidate for people of color, even though he's insisting that we should make sure to keep guns out of the hands of minorities.
Jeez, can you imagine getting paid to say this shit, dude? Can you find me a clip of Bernie Sanders saying he wants to take guns away from minorities? Any clip whatsoever. Ronald Reagan literally passed gun control specifically because of the influence of the Black Panther Party. The reach, I mean, these people are shameless. And why would they have to be anything else? They're completely unaccountable. No matter what they say or what they do, they get to make a fuck ton of money off the billionaires who support the production of this program. These people are genuinely evil. It's important to remember it. This isn't like a matter of opinion. This isn't like a subjective. These people will just come on here and lie relentlessly. Like imagine but a shout out to the real winners of the evening. How stupid do you have to be to hear that and think that's a good point? Really think about that. Really think about that. For all the people who like this video, the hundreds of thousands of people who saw it, who like it, who are talking about how bad Bernie Sanders is or whatever, they heard that point. Bernie Sanders doesn't like the NRA, therefore he specifically wants to take guns out of the hands of minorities. Haha, what a racist hypocrite. They heard that point and they thought, yeah, damn, you're right. I'll be sure to use that argument the next time I'm on The Donald to talk about how Bernie Sanders is the real racist.
Well, we can't have any more Tukey Williams running around.
Wait, what?
He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I think you mean Toucan Sam, and Tukey Williams was the Crips guy. What? What are they pumping in this thing?
You can't make a stupid joke and then in character make it seem like it was the person who you were doing a caricature of that made a stupid joke. What?
He's like, it's like one of those masks in Halloween.
Remember, the only reason Crowder got in on this is because he completely fucking failed in his attempt at being a comedian. You find a lot of conservative political commentators who are like that, actually, because it takes no skill or intelligence to be a political pundit if you're a conservative. It usually just takes like the ability to deliver a punchline. Crowder was obviously not able to do that, but clearly his failure was not enough that he was precluded from the billionaire money. Are these scripted? They sound scripted. I think a lot of it is scripted. I mean, he's constantly looking down at his iPad. Do you think he writes that joke down? Oh no, that's so much more embarrassing. Do you think he wrote that down? Like he writes down the third joke about Bernie Sanders having a Band-Aid on his temple in one video, like from 4 years ago? He had to write that down 3 times? Oh yeah, and Ben Shapiro, who wanted to get work in Hollywood, and then since then has written a book which has demonstrated his complete inability to write.
Where you squeeze the pump and just like the blood keeps running.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his thing in his head. I think that's what he was going for. It's a genre.
There are so many funny jokes you can make about Bernie Sanders. But this is what they default to?
And apparently he wiped his head with balloons.
Yeah, exactly. You can be a D-tier comedian or the funniest conservative grifter. You're completely right, Conciliator. That's the choice. That is the Faustian bargain that Steven Crowder made.
And the funniest thing, too, is Bernie Sanders saying, not the NRA, but he slips. And he's mentioned many times that his gun stances are not popular with voters. He has routinely cited this as a reason for losing an election.
30 years ago, I likely lost a race for the one seat for Congress in Vermont because 30 years ago I supported a ban on assault weapons.
It's true. He also pooped his pants.
He did.
Damn. That conservative comedic genius. They're getting better at comedy, folks. And I am getting nervous, I will admit. Or I'm getting something. I'm getting something, that's for sure.
So that
Right there at the pause.
Yeah. Other people laughed.
It's true. He also pooped his pants.
He did.
So that
Right there at the pause.
Yeah.
one
trying
could
to hide
argue that in tandem,
Right.
Yeah.
they were the game-changing effect.
But which one was the leading? You know, who knows?
We're actually banting with this poop joke. We're actually banting with the poopy pants joke.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I have
who
no
knows?
idea. So which is it, Bernie? Which is it? Is it the fact that most Americans want your kind of gun policy, or you lost?
Wait. Bernie Sanders, in none of the clips you provided, said anything about the popularity of his gun policies. Because again, the popularity of a policy has nothing to do with whether or not that policy is good or effective. So we haven't touched on that at all.
In Vermont, of all places, if I'm not mistaken, because of your gun policy. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, wait. This is a completely reasonable position. Back then, 30 years ago, in Vermont, a very pro-gun state, Bernie Sanders is saying that it was in all likelihood an anti-gun policy he took that cost him an election because guns are very popular there. Now he's on a national stage and he is arguing in favor of policies which would affect a different group of people, and now he's arguing for different things because for reasons he explained succinctly on stage. What do you mean? He did the thing that Crowder is asking for him to do, which is he kowtowed to popular demand and ended up supporting a pro-gun policy in Vermont. What is this? What's the hypocrisy here?
This goes back to your point, the claim from Bernie Sanders about tax cuts, right? He loves to say that Donald Trump, they did the same thing with George W. Bush. The tax cuts are only about benefiting, and these are the people pulling the strings with the election. Maybe you've bought this. The billionaire class.
The bill, for one, by the way that our system works, billionaires are always going to have a higher level of influence over how our elections function. And for two, yeah, no shit, it's a fact. The tax cuts disproportionately benefited the rich. I mean, that's empirical data.
The billionaire class provides hundreds of millions of dollars in campaign contributions to Republicans. And now is payback time. What this legislation is about, Jake, is giving 50% of the tax benefits to the top 1%.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, right? I don't know the exactly 50%, but yeah, a hugely disproportionate amount of the wealth from the Trump tax cuts went to the 1%. Yeah. What issue do you take with this factual data, Steven Crowder?
That he said billionaire contributions to Republicans. What happened to Bloomberg and Steyer?
Yeah. Exactly.
Do we want to look up the data? That's the Bush era tax cuts. Well, it's the same story no matter which president, which Republican president is going for it. So Bloomberg and Steyer ran for the Democratic Party. It's funny that he uses this as a counter argument because Bloomberg himself has donated an enormous amount of money to Republican political candidates. Like even in this gotcha that he's trying to frame, like there are hundreds of billionaires in this country. The money does overwhelmingly flow towards Republicans for fairly obvious reasons. And of the two that he puts out there, they are A, being run against by Bernie Sanders, and B, one of them, Bloomberg, has given a huge amount of money to Republican candidates. And Bernie Sanders criticizes the Democratic establishment all the time. He's criticized Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg for their billionaire support as well. So it's obviously not just the fact that billionaires support Republicans that bothers him. It's the fact that billionaires are capable of influencing democracy so severely.
That's the GDP of all of South America combined that they spent just to be raped on the stage by Elizabeth Warren.
Exactly.
That is an expensive raping. It is an expensive sexual accosting on a
I mean, for Bloomberg, sure, I don't think Steyer had anything to do with Warren, but
national platform. His war, Bernie Sanders' war, is with you because the Trump tax cuts, they reduced the income tax bill for those, by the way, those earning a median income in the country by nearly 60%. Household income.
What?
Earning a median with you because the Trump tax cuts, they reduced the income tax bill for those, by the way, those earning a median income in the country by nearly 60%.
A median income. Guys, I don't know who here, my responsible tax-paying adults, was there a 60% decrease in your taxes? Is that true? Because that is the biggest fucking lie I have ever heard in my life. Absolutely not. The average American benefited a little bit from the Trump tax cuts, but the money overwhelmingly went to the ultra wealthy. 60%? Could he not like settle for a plausible lie? And what is the median income? Let's see. Median income USA. No, the median income, the mean income would be higher, but the median income is about $63,000, which is, you know, a fair middle class income. So we can, here, wait. Effect of Trump tax cuts by income. Can we get some data on this? So let's see. 2017 income tax rate versus 2019 income tax rate. This would be the difference for the Trump tax plan, correct? Signed on December 22nd, 2017. Okay. Cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. That is a massive fucking amount. So here we go. So, if you are the absolute poorest American, didn't affect you. If you are vaguely middle class, I suppose, 10,000 to 84,000, just a broad range of what the average American would make. It is a very slight decrease, about 3%. And likewise, you get the same throughout the upper echelons of the tax rates. It's mostly the corporate tax rate cuts. Double the standard deduction, eliminated personal exemptions from the tax code. Personal exemptions are something that benefited a lot of poor people pretty significantly, considering that a higher proportion of the income of a poor person is spent on stuff that might possibly be exempted, depending on how rich you are, of course. Here, let me see if I can find the exact data on where the money went. The child tax credit was nice, not going to lie. Yeah, I'm sure it was. I've never taken the position that the average American didn't generally benefit from the tax cuts, just that it overwhelmingly benefited. Yeah, here we go. From Forbes magazine. So the rich received the lion's share of the tax cut. The richest 1%. Yeah, right here. The richest 1% received 9.3% of the total tax cuts. That's almost 10 times the proportional amount they should get. The top 5% got 26.5% of the proportional tax cuts. That's a little bit more than 5 times what they should get proportionally. The top quintile, the top 25%, received 52.2%, about twice what you would normally expect them to get. And the bottom quintile got 3.3%, or about 1/8 what you would expect them to get. So yeah, the money overwhelmingly went to the wealthy. Like, this is just factual. Oh, nice soy face from Crowder this whole time.
Income for median income families, again, is up $4,000.
Oh, let's see. 2 years in, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is a clear and obvious success. A family of 4 earning the median annual income of $73,000 saw a federal income tax cut of $2,058, reducing their tax bill nearly 60%. Wait, the average family of 4 with a median annual income of $73,000. This would mean that an average family of 4 pays only a little bit more than $3,000 in taxes a year. How much does the average American pay in taxes? Okay, so the data that I'm looking at right now says that the average American household pays about $14,210 in various taxes in 2016, which is a recent enough year that the prices probably haven't changed enough through inflation to be meaningful. Well, the most recent year for which finalized data is available that translates to an effective tax rate of about 24% for the average household. So if the average tax, excluding sales tax, of course, if the average tax paid by the average American family is about $14,200, a federal tax cut of $2,000 would be 1/7, or about a 15, more or less, percent reduction in their tax bill. I have no idea where these numbers are coming from. Yeah, here's the actual article from the Washington Examiner. What is the bias in Washington Examiner? Okay, the Washington Examiner is rated as a nearly extreme far-right conservative media platform. All right, keep that in mind, I suppose. Okay. 2 years in, Tax Cuts Job Act. A family of 4 earning. Where is this data coming from? Okay, so this is from the government. A family of 4 with an income of around $73,000, median family income, which it's not, but okay, will see a tax cut of more than $2,000. Their tax bill will fall from what they would pay next year, around $3,500. In what world is a tax bill for the average family this low? Where is this coming from? I am so confused. Does this just refer to federal taxes or something? What are we... Okay, if we look just at federal taxes... No, the average federal income tax for an American family is higher than $8,000. Where the fuck is this number coming from? I'm serious, guys. What can someone explain to me? I genuinely want to know. Does somebody have an explanation for how any estimation of the average tax bill of an average family of 4 would be $3,557? This is from a government PDF. Where is this coming from? Sales tax? No, I don't know what it would have to do with sales tax. Nobody in chat is offering me any explanation. I can give up on this data point, but nothing that the average American family does not pay fucking $3,500 in taxes. Yeah, the data that I provided was excluding sales tax. It said about $14,000 for a family, for an average family of $63,000 a year. So a family of $73,000 a year should be paying even more in taxes. I'm not understanding the math on this at all. Whatever the case is, I mean, there's no like if and or buts about it. The extent to which the wealth from this tax cut affected Americans overwhelmingly disproportionately favored the wealthy, like massively so. 10 times the impact on the top 1%, 5 times the impact on the top 5%, 2 times the impact on the top quartile, and for the bottom quartile, nearly 1/10 the impact. I mean, what are you gonna do? Do you have something somniostatic? Opinion. The Trump tax cut has amounted to nothing but broken promises for the middle class. The verdict is not good. The richest 1% of taxpayers will get an average tax cut of around $50,000, 75 times more than the average cut for the bottom 80%. Huge corporation tax breaks. Oh no, oh no. Trump promised his corporate tax cuts would result in an average pay raise of $4,000 for working families. Census data shows the median family income instead grew by about $500 in the first year after the tax cuts, the smallest annual increase in 5 years. A close look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics figures showed that the growth rate in wages was just 0.4% in the 2 years since the tax cuts. Compare that with wage growth of 0.7% in the last 2 years of Obama's presidency. Economy hasn't even grown half as fast as Trump predicted. Federal debt has exploded. Yeah, okay. I don't know where this little blurb is coming from. All available data disagrees with every conclusion Trump and the conservative wing have had to say about this. This tax cut was 100% a means of providing more wealth for the wealthy and nothing else. It massively disproportionately affected those groups over others.
Increase 4 times the size of what we is up 4,000.
Oh, by the way. Do you want to see what the site is that he's getting that second headline from? The PDF was from a joint committee that was made up mostly of Republicans. That makes sense. Check out the website that he's pulling that second headline from. Americans for Tax Reform. A massive banner at the top of the page. Thank you, President Trump, for the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Damn. Now this is what I like to call impartial journalism. They just find anything. Crowder will just Google for anything that, praises support for the disastrous Trump tax cuts. Find like, praise godemperortrump.com. Ah, yes, of course. Here, let me cite this. Let me make sure to only get the text of the headline, so we can't actually see which website it's from. It's very important that people not see when I'm quoting Breitbart or other comparably biased sites.
$1 and it increased 4 times the size of what we saw.
Look at the website's about section. Oh, don't tempt me with a good time, friend. About ATR. We believe in a system in which taxes are simpler, flatter, more visible, and lower than they are today. The government's power to control one's life derives from its power to tax. We believe that power should be minimized. ATR was founded at the request of Ronald Reagan? Holy shit. Nice. What's the bias in this one, do you think? ATR bias. Wait, it links to a page of theirs. What? Now, where's the website that I like? Wait, hold on. Yeah, this one. Does ATR even show up in this website? No. It's so irrelevant that it hasn't even shown up on Media Bias Fact Check. Ah, well. Maybe it's a deeply left-wing rag, you know? We'll never know.
Under 8 years of Obama. And here's something else. His war is not with big.
H&R Block reports the average tax cut was about approximately $1,200 based on the returns of a company processed for 2018. That seems more likely. Certainly not 60% of your fucking tax bill.
But his war is with the vast majority of businesses that are American small businesses.
Yeah.
Right? The Trump tax cuts have helped them a lot, and his approval rating just hit an all-time high among small business owners.
Again, he keeps doing this. It's the same argument over and over and over again. Bernie Sanders is anti-American because he's fighting you because he doesn't like a thing that some Americans like. It's the same argument nonstop. This is fucking boring, dude. Every single time I watch a Crowder video, everything he says is a lie. Every single time he makes a claim, it's a lie. He can't even, there are good empirical arguments that you could use, but he can't use them because his audience is full of tiny brain cucks who need to wake up every day and be reminded by their daddy fucking co-funded media oligarchs that all the shit they have to deal with in their life, all of the exploitation they have to suffer is absolutely worth it, and that complaining about it would mean they're a poor American. So there's no, like, so the like using good data would completely fall off these people. Smooth brain, slippery, no room for facts to settle in.
Abortion, depending on which numbers you use, a majority of Americans by small to mid-sized businesses.
Was he about to say the majority of Americans oppose abortion?
Yeah. They're not Bernie voters. So Bernie, he's not waging war. Small owners, again, huge on Facebook, he is waging war against you, the mom and pop.
He's picking an issue that's into the tax.
Right.
That's not a bad
I heard
thing.
abortion.
And let us not forget, he just straight up pay more under Bernie.
What bothers me so much about Bernie that his war is with billionaires and
What's wrong with Crowder's forehead?
National.
Why is it so red up there? Maybe he made so many jokes about Bernie Sanders having a bandage on his forehead one time 4 years ago, and he's starting to develop a sympathetic rash or something.
Conglomerate corporations. I'm trying to fit in all the buzzwords here.
Yeah,
it's very
true.
difficult.
He does it well.
And I don't have the Bane poison mask on my forehead.
Me too. Is it because he keeps pointing at his forehead for his hilarious fucking bandage joke that he does 8 times over the course of this video? Every video he does, he's one joke. Do you guys remember the OG shit? Do you guys remember the Skittles donut? That one time he was making fun of that like fat lady or something, and he kept saying like, haha, your Skittles donut. Like, remember? He did it like 12 times in a 15-minute video. Legitimately about 12 times. He couldn't stop doing it. You guys remember, right? Those are the good old days.
Always cloaks it as that, but Bernie's war, I want you to look into the policies. I want you to look, like Bill said, about who will see a tax increase. I want you to look into the polls and the fact that Medicare for all would be mandatory. There would be no more private insurance. His war is
no facts detected. You know, the real struggle is going to be deciding what to name this YouTube upload as. What do I just go with the standard, like, does Bernie hate middle-class America? Crowder says yes. Or do I, like, is it a broader title, like Crowder is an unfunny hack and a stupid piece of shit? Like, what? I don't know. Like, that's the real difficulty for me, naming the clips, because I suffer so much for my art, you know? I need it to get out there. What a fucking lunatic, dude. Holy shit.